back to Nothing News Under the Sun. I'm your host, Mike Thompson, and today we're starting with a story that makes political science textbooks cry. So apparently, when you're the world's richest man and you get into a Twitter fight with the president over a spending bill, the mature adult response is to start your own political party. Meet the America Party, because nothing says I'm not having a temper tantrum like naming your party after the entire country. Elon Musk, who spent $250 million getting Trump elected, is now mad that Trump's big, beautiful bill, yes, that's what he actually calls it, doesn't include enough subsidies for electric cars. Trump responded by calling Musk off the rails and a train wreck on Truth Social, because nothing says presidential dignity like all-caps trash talk about your former first buddy. But here's the kicker. Musk polled his 221 million Twitter followers about starting this party, and they voted yes, 2-1. That's right, folks. American democracy is now being decided by Twitter polls. What's next? Choosing Supreme Court justices with TikTok dances? The best part? Nobody's even sure if Musk actually registered the party. The Federal Election Commission lists several America Party entities with contact emails like wentsnowboarding@yahoo.com, because nothing says serious political movement like a Yahoo email address from 2003. All right, folks, content warning for our next story. We're about to discuss what happens when someone takes alternative medicine to places it should never, ever go. A 33-year-old man in China showed up to the hospital with severe stomach pain. Normal enough, right? Well, doctors discovered he had a foot-long live eel swimming around in his abdominal cavity. Now, the medical staff diplomatically didn't ask how the eel got there, but as one online commenter put it, everyone knows how he got in. Another person suggested he sat on it accidentally. Look, we're not here to judge anyone's creative problem-solving methods, but maybe, just maybe, when you're dealing with constipation, stick to fiber supplements instead of aquatic animals with drilling instincts. The eel had completely burrowed through his intestinal wall and was literally redecorating his internal organs. Doctors had to perform emergency surgery to remove the eel, repair the damage, and flush out his abdominal cavity. The man recovered fully, though there's no word on what happened to the eel. Fun fact, this isn't even the first time this has happened. There have been multiple similar cases, because apparently some people think eels are nature's medical equipment. So remember, kids, if you're having digestive issues, call a doctor. Don't improvise with pond life. Moving on to Colorado, where local wildlife has decided to branch out into interior design. And by interior design, I mean complete destruction of your car's interior. A bear in Jefferson County managed to lock itself inside someone's parked car and, according to the sheriff's office, decided to redecorate the interior. The deputy who responded had to use a rope to open the door from a safe distance because, and I quote, "Bears are good at breaking into vehicles, but not so good at getting out." The homeowner got some devastating news when the deputy surveyed the damage. Your car is destroyed, which is probably not what you want to hear when you're already dealing with a bear situation. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office issued a very important PSA. Local bears may redecorate your ride. They also warned that bears can smell snacks left in cars, so don't tempt them unless you want your car turned into a bear buffet. A lesson here? Always lock your car, even at home, because apparently Colorado bears have developed advanced braking and entering skills, but they're still working on the entering part of braking and entering. The bear was safely released and presumably went back to the woods to practice its exit strategies. The car? Well, let's just say it's now a convertible with a skylight it didn't ask for. Our next story comes from Greece, where a woman decided to modernize the ancient art of fortune-telling. And by modernize, I mean ask ChatGPT to read coffee grounds and then immediately file for divorce. This mother of two, married for 12 years, uploaded photos of her and her husband's coffee cups to ChatGPT for a reading. The AI told her that her husband was destined to cheat with a mysterious woman whose name starts with E. Her husband's reaction? He laughed it off as nonsense. Her reaction? She told him to leave, informed the kids about the divorce, and had a lawyer call him 3 days later. Let me get this straight. A chatbot that doesn't understand coffee, can't see the future, and was literally trained to make up convincing-sounding text became a marriage counselor, and it had a 100% divorce rate. Real fortune tellers were quick to point out that proper coffee reading involves analyzing the foam and saucer, not just taking a photo of the grounds. So not only did she use AI instead of a human, she didn't even use the AI correctly. The husband's lawyer pointed out that AI-generated coffee readings aren't admissible in court. which is probably the most reasonable thing anyone said in this entire story. Maybe the real fortune here is that this man dodged a bullet. If your spouse is willing to end a 12-year marriage over a chatbot's coffee interpretation, the problem might not be the coffee. We're heading to Scotland now, where the Sultan surgery has a very specific, very wet problem. They've been absolutely flooded with unsolicited urine samples. The clinic had to post on social media, "Please be advised that we are no longer able to accept urine samples unless they have been specifically requested by the practice." Apparently, patients have been showing up with urine samples in jam jars, coffee cups, and other questionable household containers. The clinic described it as a tsunami of pee and said they were being inundated with unrequested samples. The main culprits? Older patients who think they have UTIs and are just bringing samples proactively, like a very gross version of meal prep. Here's the thing. Doctors need to examine you before they can interpret your urine test results. Each unsolicited sample requires time, medical supplies, patient follow-up, and possibly additional testing. This isn't just one clinic's problem. Medical practices across the UK have had to put up signs saying, "Please, no unasked for pee." One clinic even had to text patients directly. "Due to recent incidents, we will no longer be accepting unsolicited urine samples." The takeaway? If you're worried about your health, talk to a doctor first. They'll provide proper sterile containers if needed. Leave the pickle jars at home. From Scotland's bathroom problems, we're heading to Washington State for the most majestic sporting event of the year, the T-Rex World Championship Races. Over 300 competitors donned inflatable dinosaur costumes to waddle, tumble, and somehow race their way across the finish line at Emerald Downs. This event started in 2017 as a team-building exercise for a pest control company and has now become a global phenomenon. This year's championship featured multiple categories: men's, women's, children's, and even a dinosaurs division for competitors over 50. Because age is just a number when you're wearing an inflatable T-Rex costume. But wait, there's more. This year featured an aerial event where 3 people in T-Rex costumes parachuted out of a plane and onto the field before racing to the finish line. Because apparently, regular T-Rex racing wasn't extra enough. The event has gone international, with Japan holding races that draw over 500 competitors. One Japanese organizer explained that when everyone's a T-Rex, nothing is shameful, which is probably the most zen thing anyone's ever said about dinosaur racing. The full T-Rex World Championship races will be broadcast on ESPN2 later this summer. That's right, a pest control company's team-building exercise is now prime-time sports programming. In a world full of serious problems, sometimes you need 300 people in inflatable dinosaur costumes falling over each other to restore your faith in humanity's capacity for pure, absurd joy. For our final story, we have a highway chaos double feature that proves reality is stranger than any comedy writer could imagine. First up, South Carolina, where state troopers found themselves in what they called a hoof pursuit. A pig was running loose on Interstate 26, one of the state's busiest highways, and had to be rescued by 2 troopers. Trooper Matthew Bullard, who grew up on a farm, knew exactly what to do. He grabbed the pig's hind leg and dragged it to safety. "That was the easiest, safest way to grab that pig," he said, "and just what I'm used to doing at this point." The pig found a new home with a family member of a Richland County deputy. Corporal Clifton Nelson called it one of the funniest calls he'd ever been on. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania, a tractor trailer carrying 40,000 pounds of mozzarella cheese crashed on Interstate 80, creating a 200-yard debris field of shredded cheese. The highway was closed for 5 hours while crews cleaned up what was essentially the world's largest pizza topping still. PennDOT had to put sand on the road because it was a little slick. All the cheese had to go to the landfill because it was unsalvageable after hours of being unrefrigerated. Somewhere, an Italian grandmother is weeping. So there you have it. 1 pig saved, 40,000 pounds of cheese sacrificed. It's like the universe's most bizarre food chain in action. And that's our roundup of news stories that prove 2025 is off to a wonderfully weird start. We've got billionaires throwing political tantrums, people asking AI to read coffee grounds, and bears who moonlight as interior decorators. Remember, folks, truth is always stranger than fiction, especially when it involves eels, inflatable dinosaurs, and unsolicited urine samples. Thanks for watching Nothing News Under the Sun. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that make you question reality itself. Until next time, keep your cars locked, your coffee to yourself, and your medical advice from actual doctors.